Joins us every week. He's been wonderful with us. We've had so many great, memorable moments to a point that I invited him to my house this summer as part of our big hibachi cookout.
You're going to want to be there. You're going to want to be. We're cooking up something.
We're cooking up something, and it's not just hibachi.
Yeah, we're cooking up something. You want to be there.
Good.
Here's the thing. I saw this weekend you were at a huge event for the New England Patriots, a team that you know I root for. Why was I not invited to that?
Yeah, I was only invited. I was not hosting the event, so I was welcome there.
I saw this and I actually got agitated.
Why do you think that he should bring you as a +1 to a Patriots event?
Would you have wanted to like come up on stage and talk, or just be amongst like the fans in the crowd?
Anything. Field Yates was there. Mike Reese was there.
They were all on the panel.
What am I doing? Why couldn't I have been on the panel?
I think you know.
I would have made you look better than anyone else because they're not focused on you; they're focused on your brother.
Well, I'll be there for a preseason game. Wait, whoa.
What a conflict!
What is that? Bang, bang.
Even your brother came out on Twitter yesterday and said, "Don't give him love. He only made one play for that." Your brother did say that yesterday.
It's tough for him right now. During our football careers, he was on the better team doing all the winning. Now, post-football, I'm the more talented one. So it's like he's all you feel me? But hey, I'm there for the preseason games. You're more than welcome. Come in the booth with us. Come in the booth with us.
Evan, you better do that.
We'll make that happen.
No,
you better do that.
Jump in the booth, Ev.
I'm in.
Young Dreidel in the booth with J-Mac.
Young Dreidel in the booth.
Young Dreidel in the booth.
Cooking up something great.
All right, J-Mac. Russ is cooking up something in MetLife Stadium this year. Giants just signed him, 1-year deal. What did you make of the situation?
The Giants had to. Some Giants fans are sitting in there like, what the hell are we doing? What was your other options? They went after Stafford early in the offseason. They couldn't get Matthew Stafford. At this point for them, yes, you have Jameis that you signed to a backup spot, but you get a guy like Russell Wilson, not that he's going to come tear the world apart. He's going to win another Super Bowl they did in MetLife, but you get competency at the quarterback position. Last year they were out there. Tommy DeVito started a game. Tim Boyle started a game. Oh. You had so many different guys. Drew Lock played the quarterback position that you can't even run the offense and evaluate the team that you have. So Russell Wilson, to me, brings somebody in that can run an offense, and it also frees them up in the draft. Now at that number 3 spot, you can go best available player. If Shador is still there, you can go with Shador if you feel like he's the guy that's the franchise next quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. But if not, if Travis Hunter is there, if Abdul Carter is there, you can bring those guys in and be difference makers.
So do you think they're more or less likely to take a quarterback at 3 if it's available to them based on now the 3 guys that they do have in their quarterback room?
I would say less likely. I think there's still a chance that they take a quarterback. Maybe they try to trade back up to the end of the first round to go for a guy like Jackson Dart if he's still there, Tyler Shuck, depending upon how you evaluate him. But I look at that number 3 spot, the fact that you've signed Russ, you have Jameis, it opens you up to, if you really feel like Abdul Carter is a guy that is going to be a Hall of Fame type player, blue chip type player, or Travis Hunter, and they're sitting there at 3, and you're not convinced that Shador is maybe worth a number 3 pick, then you go with one of those guys and build him in the franchise.
We're talking with ESPN NFL analyst Jason McCourty, of course, former great corner in the league. By the way, I didn't even realize this before right now. Played for 3 of the top 4 teams in the draft this year, ironically enough, in Tennessee, Cleveland, and New England. Did not play for the Giants.
We're at the top of the draft when I was on those teams, too. So
not one of them.
Yeah, not one of them.
But I'm not invited. Jason, it is a distinct possibility, maybe not probability, but possibility, that the Pittsburgh Steelers are left with no one. How do you react to that possibility?
How did we get here? You think about it for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 years ago, they had Mitch Trubisky. You draft Kenny Pickett at the end of the first round, and you think you go from Big Ben to now drafting a quarterback at the end of the first. You have your guy for the future. That doesn't pan out. Last year, we gave them a ton of credit in the offseason because now you end up with Fields and Russ, and you're not paying them much money. And now you're in the same exact spot you were 2 years ago that you don't have a quarterback. The hard thing is you look at the Aaron Rodgers situation, it's just like this fit seems like it's perfect for both sides. For Rodgers, you have a chance to go out there and compete. You have DK Metcalf, you have George Pickens. for whatever reason, it hasn't happened. But what sucks for the Steelers, they don't have any choice but to sit down and wait. You can't just move on to Joe Flacco and say, you know what, we're just going to sign him and we're going to be okay. Or Carson Wentz or one of these guys that's available. For the Steelers, you have to sit there and wait for him. We had mentioned here, you brought up trading for a Brock Purdy, which would be awesome for them. I can't see the 49ers doing that. I don't look around the league and say, all right, this player could possibly be available, so let's go out and get him. People have mentioned Joe Milton's name and the Patriots up, but that's still an unknown commodity. So you don't look
I mentioned Will Levis today. That's where we're at, honestly. Because I'm just like, pull the trigger on something now as a just in case to compete with Rudolph. But, I mean, everything you're saying, I mean, it's...
And they had a chance to draft Will Levis.
Oh, good point.
When he came out,
good point.
So,
good point.
I don't know. Like, if you're the Steelers, you got to do something.
J-Mac, yesterday Cam Ward dazzled as his pros day as much as you can because it's shorts and T-shirt, but he was wowing people with his arm talent, some of the throws that he was able to make. It seems like it's setting up for the Tennessee Titans to presumably take him with the #1 overall pick. I know you color a ton of AFC South games during the NFL regular season. Are the Tennessee Titans making the right decision? Would they be making the right decision drafting Cam Ward? And is that team ready for a quarterback right now?
I believe so. I think you look at their offseason moves. You go out and you sign Kevin Zeitler. You go out and you sign Dan Moore. You're bringing in guys on the offensive line to try to solidify that. So when you draft a guy like Cam Ward, you're setting him up for success. You have Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears in the backfield. So you're not trying to force too much on the young man. But everything we've seen from him since the moment the college football season has ended, he's just continued to skyrocket and be the clear-cut #1 pick of the draft. So if you're the Tennessee Titans, I was there when we drafted Jake Locker, #8 in 2011, and then Mariota, #2 in 2015, and it didn't work out. But since then, there's been so many different leaderships that's been in place there. If you're convinced that Cam Ward is a guy that can come in and change the franchise, not only from ability on the field, but also the off the field part, I think, which is huge because both Locker and Mariota were both guys that were more quiet and to themselves. You need to have a guy at that spot. You're drafting him first overall, not only to be one hell of a player on the football field, but he has to be one hell of a leader in the locker room, and guys have to believe in him from day one.
Jason, so J.J. McCarthy was on with Kay Adams, and he said that the Vikings haven't told him yet that he's the #1 quarterback. Do you read into this at all? Do you think that they need to give him that designation, or do you think that that's ultimately coming?
No, it's March. Like, if Kevin O'Connell calling him up like, hey, bud, just wanted to tell you, like, you're our quarterback. Who cares about that? I loved his response from the standpoint of, I got to go out there and prove it every day. But whether they're telling him or not, the other quarterback on the roster is Brett Rippon. So, like, for all intents and purposes right now, he's their QB1 and he's their guy. At some point, I would anticipate them going out signing a veteran. But I don't think, unless we're all wrong and they are going after Rodgers, I don't see anybody out there that they're signing to compete with J.J. McCarthy. It'll be about somebody coming in there to mentor him.
Would that be a mistake if they did revisit Aaron Rodgers later on this spring, summer? Would it be a mistake if Minnesota decided to bring in Aaron Rodgers?
I think so, from the fact of, if you were convinced that, and I can understand them going for Rodgers, you have a team that's ready to win right now. But if that was the case, then to me, it should have already been done. Like, if you were going for Aaron Rodgers, free agency is now, almost a month into it. You should have gotten that deal done. You should have had that conversation with J.J. McCarthy, and everybody should have been on the same page. I think when you haven't done that, J.J. McCarthy's training, he's getting ready to be the guy. You commit to him and you go forward with that, because the whole Rodgers thing right now, if I'm a team and I'm in a spot where I have a quarterback, I'm content where I'm at.
Jason McCourty, ESPN NFL analyst. You'll see him on Get Up at 8 a.m. Eastern, first take at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. And he, this summer, if he comes over, will get to see my lawn and he'll get to see the work.
Chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Vòng hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là con thuyền. Mọi người, hôm nay vòng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là cái tàu. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu làm nha.